Rama asked, how does an unenlightened but righteous person confer boons? So the whole notion of boons is quite important in the culture from which the Yoga Vasishta arose. Rather like prayer is important to the religious traditions which arose from the Middle East. And just like prayer, the idea is if you're a good person, then your prayers are more efficacious. The underlying assumption being that spirituality gives you authority, gives you a little extra influence over the physical world, over physical reality. But as I pointed out last time, it's actually the other way around. The only authority the spiritual practitioner gets is freedom from the authority of the material world. This is the power of the spiritual practitioner, not the power to grant boons or to have stronger prayers or to have more efficacious prayers. All these things are based on desire, and the spiritual practitioner has less and less to do with desire. So the apparent power of the spiritual practitioner comes from their freedom from notions of an external, substantial, independent world out there. So in response to Ram's question, Vasishta basically just says, well, that's how God made it, that's how Brahma made it. But it's quite a trivial question, and the answer is quite trivial, but then Vasishta takes the opportunity to bring it into a much more profound level. Vasishta continued, whatever Brahma, the Creator, ordained in the beginning of this creation, prevails even now. Brahma is non-different from Brahman, the infinite consciousness. That Brahma brought into being through his own thought force the standard of righteousness, charity, austerity, good qualities, the Vedas and other scriptures, and the 5 great elements. He also ordained that the utterances, the boons, etc., also curses, of the ascetics and the knowers of the Vedas should come true. It was Brahma who also ordained the nature of all substances here. Just as we become our own dream objects while dreaming, consciousness, though it is real and consciousness, becomes even the unreal world appearance with all its sentient and insentient objects. Then we get the teaching, this last sentence, just as we become our own dream objects while dreaming. And this is exactly it. This is what we become. The dream is us. Everything in the dream is us. When we're dreaming, all aspects of the dream are the dreamer. The dreamer becomes the dream. Although the reality is that the dreamer is always the dreamer. And in the same way, consciousness becomes all of this. All of this out here and in here. This is what consciousness becomes. But consciousness is only consciousness. Consciousness is the dreamer getting lost in its dream. Whether sentient and insentient objects. In your dream you have sentient and insentient objects. You have people and things. But they're all the dreamer. They're all you. The unreal world appearance itself is later regarded as real on account of constantly repeated affirmation and conviction of its reality. This is what our culture does. Our culture says this is what is real. You've got to relate to it. This is what you have to deal with. This is what you have to focus on. This is reality. This is what's important. This is the repeated affirmation. And we have this conviction. The conviction is so strong that this is an independent world out there with its own substance, It seems absurd to question this. This is the nature of the conviction. And we're convicted by it. We're imprisoned by it. This is our conviction, it's our prison sentence. This belief is our prison sentence. It limits us, it constrains us, and we can be free of it at any moment by realizing its notional nature, by realizing the process of consciousness. When one indulges in daydreaming, he can even see stone images dance as if they were real. Even so, this world appearance which appears in Brahman is thought to be real. The seer and the seen are non-different. Consciousness is conscious of itself as consciousness. Therefore it sees whatever it wishes to see. It seems like there's some intention here, doesn't it, when it says it wishes to see. But it's much, much lighter than that. There's no volition whatsoever. It sees whatever it happens to see. And because there's no reason for it not to see what it doesn't want to see, it's often said that this is what it wishes to see. It's its fancy. It's its fancy. I am the infinite Brahman who is the cosmic person whose body is the world. Hence the world and Brahman are non-different. We could also have said, whose dream is the world, and the dream is non-different from the dreamer. Just as a conscious being may sometimes be in an unconscious state, even so the Supreme Being, or the infinite consciousness itself, exists as the apparently inert world. And this is such an important point. It's the nature of consciousness to come and go. We're awake and we sleep. Consciousness forgets itself and remembers itself. Consciousness lapses into self-forgetfulness, and then there's self-remembering. This is consciousness, it's the one thing. In dream there is light, in deep sleep there is darkness, though both these are in sleep. In your dream you've got sunshine, you're not walking around in the dark in your dream. Everything is lit up. You've got all your senses kicking in. Even though your eyes are closed and you're fast asleep, you're in the darkness of sleep. And both of these are sleep, both your deep sleep and your dreaming. Even so, both light and darkness seem to exist in the one infinite consciousness. So what's trying to be conveyed here is, although consciousness goes from consciousness to unconsciousness and back again, it's all consciousness. It's all consciousness. Just as the deep sleep and dreaming are both sleep. It can be quite revelatory to accept and to appreciate this coming and going of consciousness, so that you don't feel that you have to rigidly be conscious all the time, because what you're doing then is you're setting yourself up in opposition to unconsciousness, and you're reinforcing a duality. So you accept the unconsciousness also as the process of consciousness, as consciousness. And in that way you go beyond any notion of a process, and it's all simply consciousness.